What happens when the person you trust the most turns out to be a complete fiction?
The police are going after you as a suspect. That's what I had to deal with.
That was the shocking reality for Cecilie Fjellhøy, whose story captivated 200 million Netflix views in the Tinder Swindler.
I've taken up 9 loans and I lost over £200,000.
These kind of scams too are a lot more common than people realize.
But here's what's terrifying for every founder today. The scams have gone corporate.
People reach out to potential candidates pretending to work for my company.
How easy it is to just create a fake LinkedIn profile and say you worked at different places. People even make fake, recommendations.
And the psychological warfare begins. Some people are just super manipulative. And once they get their hooks in, they know how to manipulate you. It's like game over. But here's what the fraudsters don't want you to know. We can fight back.
If we can create AIs for criminal activities, we have to be able to create them to detect it and help us.
From victim to innovator, Cecilia turned her nightmare into a mission.
I have this very innate need of justice. And I feel if I can speak up and I can have that resilience to do so, I have to do it for the ones who can't.
Today, she reveals the simple verification tactics that could save your business. Next on Winning Friends. Welcome to Winning Friends, the podcast where we explore how the world's most successful people build the connections that drive the businesses. I'm Logan Merrick.
And I'm Dylan, and today our guest is a founder and activist, Cecilie Fjellhøy, who went through one of the most infamous deceptions of the digital age, as documented in the Netflix hit, The Tinder Swindler. When you're meeting people for the first time, do you put effort now into vetting them before you meet them? Did you check out Logan and I before you came to the studio today?
It was kind of funny when you mentioned, I didn't. I think I just got the connections on LinkedIn. And I was like, oh yeah, these are the two that's going to interview me.
Two random guys.
Yeah.
But even when I got the request, I was thinking here a bit when after I had booked my tickets and everything, I was like, but what if it's just what if it's just fake, What if I paid for my flight tickets now and it was haha, or it's true.
Got you.
No, because I was thinking about it afterwards, but is it the Estonian government e-residency is podcast?
Is Estonia even real? Is it a real country?
Yeah, so I have to say, sometimes I am kind of, yeah.
Do you feel does that happen? Do people try and target you because of your previous experience more? Is that something hard that you have to deal with?
I think it's weird trying to defraud me.
Yeah.
I don't understand. It's impossible. I'm bankrupt. There's no money to be had from me. So I think it's kind of stupid if you try. But I think, of course, I'm getting the same messages, text messages and, getting these investment fraud channels and you can see that they're deepfakes. So of course, I'm getting the same type of that they're sending out, getting to my, but not anything that I've been jumping on.
They're not necessarily targeting you. That's just the broad ones. Or?
Yeah, the broad ones, or you get a message to your phone regarding high recruitment scams. Those are so big these days. Mm-hmm. And I even entered into an investment group on WhatsApp because I was so interested in these there are scams, but it seems so legit. Mm-hmm. For someone that isn't heavily into it, when I see what they're talking about, I'm like, wow, this is scary.
We've actually, even in my business, we've had to be careful. And we've had some experiences like that with recruitment scams, actually, where people reach out to potential candidates pretending to work for my company, offering interviews, go through an interview process with someone, offer them a job. And then the next step is you have to purchase your equipment through this link and then the company will reimburse you. We had that experience one time where someone, they received the email with the offer with the link and then they realized this doesn't feel right and they reached out to us. So it's I actually think these kind of scams too are a lot more common than people realize.
They are, and the more desperate people are and how the world is at the moment, high unemployment rates. If people get desperate and stressed, they will maybe go and maybe this might be it,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm the lucky one. And that is what I think is sad about it and how well executed they can be, that they meet someone, they go through the interview process and everything's fake.
Yeah. Your personal story, right, became world known and world famous through this documentary, The Tinder Swindler. How do you process something like that when it comes out? Because it came out years after the initial moment. It was ongoing, but it came out later, right? Or how do you deal with this?
The first time I went public, that was after half a year only.
Okay.
So that was, when I think back at it as a victim and now been helping other victims, that is very quick turnaround. And you're still in the trauma, you're still in the stress of it, or still hopeful that things will work itself out. And as well, when you've never been public with a story like this, and it went like viral the old-fashioned way, because it was a Norwegian newspaper. So suddenly I got a lot of interest from Brazil, and then suddenly it was Germany, and you understood like, okay, a press in that country, like more the normal way of doing it. And I was so angry because I was not prepared for the onslaught and the negativity. So I went on Reddit, I went on the Facebook comment sections, YouTube comments, like, don't do that.
Yeah.
It was just starting to, argue with people in the comment sections, like writing, you will never say this to my face, and they, of course, reply, yes, I will. You know what I mean? Like, you're trying to... and that is like what I always say to victims if they go public, never try to kind of argue with people. There's no, that's the reaction they want out of you. But it was incredibly hard to process when you're already feeling the shame and the guilt. You go back in time. Why didn't I stop it? Why didn't I leave? Why did I feel pressure over the phone?
These people are all saying these things to you, like, oh, why didn't you just leave? Or,
Yeah,
why did you give them so much money?
And of course, you're asking those questions yourself. And for a lot of fraud victims, for example, I had tons of, the WhatsApp between the two of us were so long, but you don't want to go back there immediately. You don't want to go and look through those messages because it's re-traumatizing. You don't want to look at yourself going deeper and deeper into something that you're screaming at yourself. Stop it. Come on. That message from him. I have one message from him saying like, no one else now, we're in a war. And I apologized to him saying, I'm so sorry, I just trust people too much. You could see that, this relationship is a really bad one. And that's how I want people to look at when it comes to financial fraud, is the relationship. If it's a business one or if it's a love relationship, is a bad relationship. Someone is getting the bad end of the stick here and they are actually controlling you. That's what he was doing. But from far away, like, I didn't live with him. That's what he's using against me to say, I just met her 3-4 times. I've never said that I was with him all the time. But that is why I emphasize so much with the online, romance scammers, or the one that you never met them. Because I could feel the pressure from my phone. And still to this day, I'm like, why? Like, why didn't I, like when he said, oh, you need to call the bank and unblock the card, or I need money. Like, why? Why did I continue? And I just go back to, it's such a human reaction when you're under pressure and stress and you've been manipulated and you feel that this is something you have to do. You feel you don't have a choice, even though you have.
But this is the thing with when you get people who are like, and you find that, I find this in business all the time, is like, some people are just super, super manipulative. And once they get their hooks in, they know how to manipulate you. It's like, game over. I got swindled for, it wasn't, like a huge amount, but I got involved with a Ponzi scheme.
Oh.
Yeah. And I had like a whole bunch of friends who were involved in it. And like, so I was just one of many. And there were some people who were in there that had like $12 million in there and like some serious money. So they were like high level operators, like really smart people. And it felt like I just watched, I watched this Bernie Madoff documentary. And it was like the same thing, It was just this super sharp guy, and I lost all that money. And you feel like an idiot.
What I hear from these type of Ponzi schemes when friends are involved, that, the friendships are being lost. Because if you was the one who brought them in, like a lot of them were like, why did you do, you feel
you have this responsibility,
immense guilt,
right?
because I believed it. And by using, the authenticity that you trust your friend, and then they jump on board. I heard about that. That is like, it's detrimental for, just human relations afterwards, not just the money.
Was there a moment, and I know this rarely happens, but was there a moment where you thought, I really want to take this experience and turn it into a way of supporting others? Like, was there a conscious time where you were like, okay, I'm going to do something off the back. I can pretend to level with you and understand what it feels like, but truly, it would be false of me to say that, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I can only imagine how it feels, and it is traumatizing from what I can imagine, right? So is there a moment where you're like, okay, I'm going to sit in this trauma and pain, or you're like, okay, I'm going to take this and do something with it? Or like, what are those conversations with yourself and like
Because
friends,
your
family
life
look
changed
like?
from that point onwards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like my Google search were completely destroyed. Like I worked in the tech industry, and when you Google, if you're a consultant, potential clients will then Google, and it was like perfect, LinkedIn, and my, I had a portfolio, and like everything looked great, and like boom, one day your
Everything's
name was
different.
like. So for me, it was like when I already had gone public, like why not do something more about it than just helping my own case? And I think by getting the receptions, for example, I got a lawyer in Norway writing to me. And I think that was the message that made me just click, where she said they feel so bad that they can't help people just in high debt, because I had a lot of debt. I'd taken up 9 loans and I lost over £200,000. So this was money that was in minus. So when she said that to me, I was like, she was so sad that they couldn't help people more, and they had people taking their own lives over this. So when I got that this is more like systemic, like if you have, made mistakes with money, or if you have debt, you're going to be so pushed down that you don't know what else to do than take your own lives. And this wasn't even fraud. So when I had that's when I was like, okay, I can speak up about it, but I'm one individual and people have opinions of me. I need to create an organization. So I created one in Norway at first and started talking to these consumer organizations and talked to people who were running nonprofits, helping people with lawyer help. I have this very innate need of justice. And I feel if I can speak up and I can have that resilience to do so, I have to do it for the ones who can't. And I think getting that kind of gratefulness from people as well that says, watching you now flourish and doing better makes me feel that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Think about that. Because you just doing well helps people who are now in the gutter where I was.
Did you know that you were going to be throwing your career in for this? At that time, like, did you kind of have the inclination or not really?
I felt like, so my work was everything. I love my job. Like working in tech, I worked in it for an innovation company in London where I was doing amazing, fun stuff, working in virtual reality, which I love. So I was like, and I called them my work family. Like if I didn't have my work, I didn't know what to do. Think about it. You're living in a nightmare. You're losing your flat. Your boyfriend never loved you or liked you even. Like, it's just like, it's a very difficult thing just to comprehend. You have all this debt. You've been taken to court by 4 banks. The police are going after you as a suspect. That's what I had to deal with.
Really?
Yeah.
The police were coming after you?
Yeah, so I had so many, going after me. I had to file for bankruptcy at the same time. It was COVID was hitting. Like, I was like, this is my life in my 30s. Very happy. And my work, to go to work and have 8-9 hours, and not having to think about it saved me. So I still had my job. It was when it came out on Netflix where I was like, Netflix virality is very different than like, that is 200 countries, boom. And then I started getting requests that, would you like to come and talk about your experience? And I was like, well, I'd been on some stages in my old job as a UX designer, had gone up there to talk about usability testing. And I was like, well, I like being on stage. I kind of enjoyed. And I knew how to make a story arc. I could do a presentation well. So I was like, okay, I need to. So that's how but I've been missing. I love that the job that I'm really passionate about is something that I could go back to. So that's why I go a bit more back to my tech background. And it takes years to really evaluate and understand why it happened. And that is, my UX lens have gotten more and more bigger part of that. So I don't feel like I'm still using kind of my background in tech and UX. I don't feel I've thrown it away, but I know like the kind of job I need to get now in UX needs to be on the background of who I am. I think it's going to be a bit more difficult if I didn't have the connections I have to just like go out there and send in a CV. What have you been doing for the last 3 years? So I was like, But
Mental health break, yeah.
Yeah, mental health break. Very much so. But I love being able to use both of it, using the expertise that I've obtained now over these 3 years. But look at it critically now, where I can see a lot of the flaws, why it went so bad in my case, and do something to make it better.
100,000 entrepreneurs can't be wrong.
The Winning Friends podcast is brought to you by eResidency of Estonia.
Because you didn't start your business to drown in paperwork, and Estonia gets it. That's why they built eResidency, a government-backed digital ID that lets you run your entire company online.
Set up an EU company in just 18 minutes, manage everything online with no travel required, and access the world's most advanced digital nation.
Just visit eresident.gov.ee, details in the description below. With, not to sound crass or anything, but with this... I guess, instant kind of fame that you came into over that period of time when the Netflix documentary came out. How were you able to, or were you able to capture that engagement and kind of like turn that into a business?
So difficult.
Like, did you know it was coming? Like, how much warning do they give you on something
well,
like
we
this?
knew.
Because obviously you were involved in the documentary, but like, when do you know it's going to be released on this day?
I think it was at the end of 21, kind of December 21, we watched it for the first time, the three girls, and I cried. Couldn't even look through my, I thought it was like, because come on, like at the start of this documentary, I talk about Disney, Beauty and the Beast. I love Belle. You know, I was just, oh my God, this is.
No, I cried too.
Yeah, thank you. No, they don't give you a lot of time. Like I did my recording of my main master interview in over 2 days in a very cold restaurant in London because it was during COVID. So everything had to just be. So I was sitting in my winter boots and everything underneath. It looks very cozy and warm, but I was not. So they gave us maybe a couple months. And then we saw kind of the marketing around it. I was like, okay, they're like having in Oxford Street Station in London, they had this big kind of marketing little tunnel. They had like, and in Times Square, they had a billboard. And I was like, well, they're putting some money in over in Los Angeles.
So you didn't know how big of a deal it was going to be? We
felt it a bit with the marketing they were putting in. But when it kind of blew up and it became the most watched documentary on Netflix, that's where I was like, that is an insane amount of people who's watched. So it is instant. And I wasn't ready. So everything was kind of proactive and everyone was contacting you, wanting you for different things. Even Andrew Tate contacted.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I contacted. That was before I understood who he was. But he had made like a 1.5 hour commentary of the Tinder Swindler, and everyone was like writing in my comments on Instagram, Andrew Tate supports you. You need Andrew Tate. And I was like, who is this guy? Like, what are you talking about? Watched it a bit, and he just hated Simon. Like, he thought he was a big douche, and we needed his help to take him down. So I sent him a message because that was kind of funny. I was like, yeah, hi. And he was so charming on these messages. And now that we know how he works, I was like, eerily. So he wanted me and Pernilla to go to his podcast in Romania. I'm very happy I didn't do that. But what I mean is that there's a lot of different people coming at you. And if you don't have proper guidance and people to actually, you can go into, you know, what if I would have gone there? You know, horrible choice.
What are some of those, like, I don't want to say red flags, but like, what are some of the things, whether it's in a business setting, like whether it's in the personal setting or something like this, how do you figure out, like, what's your process now, for example? Like, let's say someone comes to you, hey, come on this podcast.
Yeah.
Like, you must be so much more switched on now.
Yeah, like what's your process like for that?
I think it's important to still trust, but you need to verify. I feel a lot of times, you know, it looks great, looks glossy, they have fancy titles, but you need to verify that information. Like, I don't think a lot of people know or think about how easy it is to just create a fake LinkedIn profile and say you worked at different places. People even make fake, you know, recommendations. Like, it's so easy. So it might look great, but you need to dig deeper. And just the urgency. You know, you need to come now, like with Andrew. We need to do it now. You need to come in a week's time because the attention will die down. And I think that's a lot of in business. And, you know what I mean? Like, it's closing now. We need to do it this Friday.
Opportunity.
They're putting it.
Well, that's a hard balance too, though, right? Because like sometimes that's a red flag and a bad signal, but also sometimes it's like,
that's the case.
It's like sometimes success moves fast as well, right? So it's like trying to figure out, okay, when is it a good time to move fast and not? It's like,
I think
harder.
You have to ask yourself, what are the repercussions if I take that little step back, you know? And like creating some type of, as I call it, like good friction or like intentional friction where you maybe, I don't know, in business, like set up maybe a call again or can you check some references, like just stalling it. Because if it's the fraudster, they will still give you time and in the end they will give up or there will be some things. And we need to listen to our gut a lot more. A lot of people, some fraud advice is like, don't trust yourself. We can trust. No, we need to trust ourselves more. Your gut, your intuition, something there that has value as well. If you feel something's off, like I felt something was off with Simon, not that early, but of course, before I had before he'd stole 200,000 pounds, of course, I felt uneasy and like, should I do this? But I kind of ignored those signals because he was putting so much pressure on me. And that is the kind of, okay, why are they putting so much pressure? I know that you say sometimes, but I'm like, is it that? How detrimental will it be if this is an investor who really believes in you? That Friday?
Yeah, like what difference does a day make, right?
Yeah. That is like what I sometimes feel.
Yeah.
And if it's that detrimental, if he really pushes you, then I was like, okay, is this professional as well?
Yeah. No, I see this in business as well. Like people will, like even clients or service providers, they put a lot of like time importance, like this is urgent, we need to get done quicker. I'm like, nothing is ever really that urgent. There's like literally nothing that's really that urgent. Everything happens in the perfect time if you really think about it.
And we have to think of the repercussions if it isn't. If you've then been pushed to do something that you kind of felt a bit uneasy about. If you feel uneasy about something, you shouldn't. And that is what I'm always trying. But I understand, I think when it comes to investments and founders, I've started my own nonprofit, and you can become a bit desperate at times.
Well, and also when you think there's a significant opportunity, that can overshadow your judgment-making capabilities with people too. And I think that's natural.
That's what the manipulators rely on.
Exactly.
Is that they can see that, Dylan is he's got a weakness here, and I can exploit him by pushing this narrative.
Yeah. It's like if there's an opportunity to raise this amount of money or to make this from this investment, it's like that can be very exciting for people, and excitement can overshadow those capabilities that we have too, right?
But that's what I feel with fraudsters or people who are fraudulent, who in whatever capacity. I wouldn't call it kind of weaknesses sometimes, but it's using your drive, not that you're being naive, but you're driven, all of these positive qualities that you have to have as a founder when you start something from scratch, your ambition and your drive, and you want to get going, and you're like, those are all of those qualities that they will use against you then, which is so interesting because those are the type of qualities you would say, oh my God, you're great. You should be doing this. But those you can use those against you as pressure points, that ambition,
Man,
so I know it's
vile.
scary. It's scary. Yeah.
I feel like I got to guard myself.
I know something I even caught or noticed in your language a minute ago when you said, I gave him the money, and then you stopped yourself, right, and said he took the money.
Yeah.
Like, how difficult, how do you deal with this challenge now too of there's so much shaming of the victims that in many cases, whether it's your case, others, the victims are often made out to be foolish or made bad decisions. It's
this isn't seen as a crime.
Yeah, it's it's not seen as a crime, right? And it's why is that? And how do we...
The fact that you were too trusting seems to be the crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I can see that still has an impact on you, clearly, right?
Because hindsight is a gift.
Yeah.
So annoying. Even if it's a bad, domestic abuse situation, they have the same questions. Why did you stay? Why didn't you leave? And they're questioning themselves when they get out of it. This is the same part. And I mean, an investment relationship can be very close-knit as well. If you really have trusted this person, with your life, with your business and everything. So I think that's the same fallout can come from that. Why did I trust it? There were some red flags there, but I have to say, you don't see it when you're in it. That's the issue. But kind of that is with the language that we're having in these cases, is that we then have victims going, if they go to a newspaper, they talk about how foolish they were, or that I was stupid, or I should have realized. And they're taking those quotes and are, highlighting the position of the victim being the perpetrator almost, I did something. And I was like, no, let's take a step back. Why are we not talking more about the actions of the criminal here? And I really want to use more of the language of criminal. Because I think fraudster and scammer is how,
in some weird ways,
Yeah,
some people kind of
almost
celebrate that too, which is so
And for me, a lot of the times, what I think is so sad about financial crime is that if you go to the police and you say, I want to report this as a crime, fraud, they're like, how many, fraudulent cases is it each day? It can be anything from, you buy something on Facebook Marketplace and you don't receive it, to kind of investment and romance fraud that can destroy your life. And I hate that. So you come and police are like, oh my God, again, like how many of these?
Maybe the classification is wrong. Like it shouldn't be fraud because fraud is too complex, right? Unless like what you mentioned earlier, like unless the person has defrauded someone for hundreds of millions, it doesn't even get the attention of the right commission.
Or they need to see a pattern. The individual needs to have done this to several, either romance fraud victims, founders. They need to have done it to several people, and that makes me so sad because when I'm trying to help victims, it should have been enough that they've done this to this one individual. Yeah, but for us to get any hope of justice, that anyone like, well, you need to have done it to 5.
It's like you're kind of weirdly then hoping that there's more cases, which is so.
Hopefully he's done it more times.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like if someone goes and murders another person, like, is he really a murderer?
Yeah, he's only done it once.
Could have been a one-off.
Yeah.
But this is what exactly. Thank you. And I was like, and I think the more you go and dig deep into the structural issues here, that's when you're like, oh God, this is very murky. And we need to change kind of the narrative here. And I need help from everyone, from newspapers till police to financial institutions to tech companies. It's not something that you can win by yourself.
But you have something cooking, something, by the time that this comes out, it will be after the release date of this, what you're working on at the moment, which sounds very much like the kind of the solution.
It is kind of when, for me, media was the one thing that saved me. I can say that, going public. The work that the Norwegian journalists did back in 2018, giving me something back. So when you go public, it's not that you just give out and you just feel like they take as entertainment, take your tears, take your trauma, and just like, oh, done and dusted. But I got a lot of answers and, found them in Hamburg. I got connected to Pernilla. It's a lot of kind of positives around it. But
so it's almost like getting your own investigative team working with you.
So with this new show, it's like being able to do that for others. That is what I was really kind of, if we're going to go in and tell these, people's stories that are vulnerable, putting their heart on the line here, you're putting their careers, their good name and reputation, whatever you want to say, we have to give something back. We have to help them in some capacity. Maybe not that he's going to go to prison, we're going to get them handcuffed, but maybe a confrontation if they want to do that. Getting the police to take it seriously, getting a DA to sit and talk to the victim, talking to me like a proper peer who understands the tactics of a fraudster and why you ended up doing what you did because of X, Y, and Z. It gives you a lot of closure because you don't blame yourself anymore because it's just humans. It wasn't me that there was an issue. But it's just human traits that we want to love and we want to trust. And everyone is vulnerable. Looking for either if it's business or love, we're vulnerable in that space because we need to trust people that we haven't known for that much short amount of time.
Yeah, of course.
Either with your heart or your money, Well,
that's all the economy. All the economy is. It's just a whole bunch of people who are trusting each other. But I think even like fraud, in my opinion anyway, like one of the most common frauds that I see in business is that you get like this marketing agency gets wound up overnight, and then they suddenly are operating as a business and they're generating sales. They're bringing in customers, and then at the end of that, they attempt to deliver on the work. Doesn't work out. Doesn't matter. Close those accounts. Burn those customers, and then move on to the next service. And this happens all the time.
Well, that comes back to the systemic problems that you mentioned, right? Of like how ultimately easy it can be in times.
And that is what bugs me so much because I had to do like a personal bankruptcy. Forever that's on my, file. Right. Like after 6 years, I can't get credit again. Like I can't even get a credit card now. I can't buy my mobile phone on, to pay. Like I can't do anything.
You have burner phones, yeah?
Yeah, I saw you with a flip phone.
Yeah, flip phone. Let me just text.
Yeah.
Let me just text.
Yeah.
Like if you decide to create a company and you're not going to, deep down inside, the intention of that company is to defraud. You're just going to pretend that you're going to do services or, build houses and really that you're not going to fulfill it. and that company gets taken down, and you can just start another one.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of, and every time I see that on, on the news, in newspapers, that a company have gone bust and your creditors for X amount of millions, and people don't even think about this might be one person who wanted their house built,
Right.
and now they're ruined,
Right.
and they can just like do, and that is like,
Right.
we don't even think about the implications on a personal level for these people. It's not always big companies that can handle being a creditor and not get their money back.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say probably most of the frauds are actually being done on the grassroots, right? Like smaller businesses. Yeah. And it might not even necessarily be intentional. Like what the difference between a Ponzi scheme and a soluble business is that you're paying money out of, let's say you pay me and then I pay your interest out. Yeah. But it could also mean that just I don't have any money and I need money. And then as soon as you pay me, I'm like, I got to pay my debtor. Now I'm in a Ponzi scheme and that can spiral out of control really quickly.
Yeah. That's what they said about Simon, that it was a Ponzi scheme, kind of using the money from one woman to fund another. For example, when I took a plane back from that date in Bulgaria and home, who paid for that ticket, But what a lot of people don't know is that he did company fraud as well. So the active case still in the UK is for a private jet and luxury car company where he went on maybe 4 or 5 private jets flights. So the flight I was on was not paid for by another woman. It was from a man who trusted Simon Levi when he walked into the business, that he was who he said he was. And think about it, like that is like, I'm trying to say, like, it's not one demographic who gets kind of targeted by these fraudsters. They will go after everyone. Because I felt a bit when Simon has come up with this new scam now where he's scamming men instead. A lot of the comments to him is like, why are you trying to scam us? Continue with the women. I was like, oh my God.
But not the bros.
I know, not the bros.
Poor men.
Because a lot of them who support him or are fanboying or are incels, who hates women, are just happy that he did it to women. So now they're angry with him. Never thought he would do this to us.
Yeah. I thought he was one of us.
Yeah, I know. But I think it's so important to think no one's safe.
Yeah.
No one is
Do you
safe.
think that is getting or could get worse with the rise of AI technology, deep fakes? Like, it's so easy now to doctor or fake a profile image or a voice.
Just literally in like 5 minutes before you came in, we literally just built a whole new website. It's not a scam website. It was just like it was the executive producer just wanted to demonstrate his technical prowess with using vibe coding. One of these vibe coding platforms. It's so simple just to wind something up.
Yeah, because you work in this space, in the AI space now too, right? So it's like, is that even more of a threat right now?
I think it's really, really scary to see the amounts of, it can look a lot more credible than what they're doing today. For example, what I'm very upset about though is this is for the social media companies that are still having these adverts with then Elon Musk can clearly see that it's a deep fake or maybe just an overlay where he's saying, I have a WhatsApp group, and even TikTok, I saw one now where, these big famous investors are saying, I have a WhatsApp group where I gather people to discuss investments advice. And you can see, I was looking at one of them, I was looking at the mouth, and you can see that they're repeating the video. Like, it's just really, it's not super bad, but if you know what to look out for.
But it's going to get more realistic. And that's the scary thing, right?
Now you can see that is not
in a year's time, you might not be able to see that it's not real.
What I'm scared is how they can grow their business to new ways that we've never seen before, and kind of now they've had scripts, with their victims or clients, as they call it, is horrible, where they then, okay, if the client says this, you need to respond with this. Some of them maybe forget of who they talk to and will make a mistake. With AI now, they remember. They can remember the conversations from way back with the victim. Their English can be perfect. That is where I feel like I think they can run even deeper into the immersiveness of the relationship. That is what I'm scared of.
Well, even like AI phone scams, this is like a huge thing, These things like learning in real time, making thousands of phone calls per second,
And just cloning of of people's voices. You know, I don't know if I bet you've seen, but the news report, especially over in the US, where they pretend to be a son or daughter calling their mom and dad, like saying, I need help. And of course, if it sounds like them, and we don't have that awareness yet that might happen. But even though so, I think I would have been like, how, if you get into that mental headspace that someone close to you are in danger or need help or in hospital, how clearly do you even think before, like, you know, take a step back? But it's difficult.
Yeah.
It's easy to say, much more difficult when you're in that situation. But what I really want to highlight is that I think that we are, you know, catastrophizing a lot more than we should about it. I think that if we can, you know, create AIs for criminal activities, we have to be able to create them to detect it and help us. So that is the company I've started at, because for me, the one question I've had from a lot of banking employees when I do my talks, like social engineered, is that we don't want to admit that we're being scammed or someone that we trust isn't who they say they are. So we are just, no. Even me, when Amex blocked my card, I sent in a complaint email to them. Like, why are you saying that I'm not, like, if you know me, we are properly deluded. And for me, a human being can have a set amount of patience and expertise, you know, because they do, how many phone calls do they do in one day? And when you're that manipulated and coerced, you will lie, you will behave in ways, you will be angry. And how will they handle that if they really believe someone is being defrauded? So if we can create an expert, an AI agent that can either sit beside them, that's how I see at the start now, that can maybe listen into the conversation with them and give them a bit of advice on how to handle it, what kind of questions to ask. Because you can't say to someone you're being scammed. Because that, of course, no. I'm not stupid, you know, I'm not being scammed. It's my boyfriend, it's my girlfriend. Why would I do that? So I really believe in, if you can create someone that's an expert in human vulnerabilities, can understand, you know, the different tactics, can understand, you know, the background of the person. I really truly believe that at least it's much better than what we have today, which is nothing, to be fair. Not like that. I bet that they have some processes, they have some questions they should ask, but it's very difficult to talk to us. And we know that companies are getting better at both identity theft, account takeover. They will need to use humans to get their way. So what are we going to do about it that we can be manipulated? And I think that can be a way for them to actually, you know, guide us in a better sense, because they will have that patience. And I believe in the future as well. I think that a lot of more are using, you know, ChatGPT as a therapist and just talking to them. I think in the future as well, maybe a total AI agent, like a chatbot that you just talk to, because we will be much more accustomed to it, as long as they're much better than what they are today. And as well, because it is kind of shameful. Is it better than to talk to that instead of a human being that you feel a bit like more like, no, I'm not being scammed? Like, would it be better to talk to someone that's a neutral expert than a banking employee that might be like? I just have a lot of thoughts that I think we need to look at it as, I go to so many cybersecurity conferences and fraud conferences, like AI is being used. Have we lost the battle? It's like, why are we having these headlines? What are we telling the criminals in the world who's doing this? Can we please stop? It's horrible. We can't so we're just gonna, no, they won. AI is here. They're using it for bad. Yeah, well, we can't do anything about it then. Like, what are we doing? I
think that the solution for using AI to counteract the AI, I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I even heard this one I heard about this one AI counter scam solution, which was basically just a scammer calls up the AI. They call a random number. The AI answers and pretends to be a human, and then like trying to stooge this person, and all the AI is doing is just dragging the conversation out.
And another thing that they get through by doing that, a lot of evidence and a lot of about new tactics.
Data.
I love it. It's like a honeypot. I love it because for me, a lot of the evidence is in the chats that you're having. Like my chat with Simon shows so many different, you know, what people around him that he was using, the tactics he was using. But a lot of, you know, victims are either they delete it. Oh, and I'm like, why did you delete evidence? But it's like they delete it, never delete. any conversation you've had with the criminal.
Well, because of shame, right? I would guess, and embarrassment. You don't want to revisit these things.
Yeah. But that is another thing that because if you then have that conversation with the fraudster, it will give you accounts, names of others that can be used as money mules, and all of that can be then sent to the bank, that they were mentioning. And that they can maybe take them down. Yeah. I just, for me, that is one of the best uses of it, because it's like that duality of it.
Then you can demonstrate that pattern, which you would need to eventually, to, I guess, try to prosecute this person.
Yeah.
Do you have any fear of oversharing stuff online? Like, because I'm thinking now, right? It's like, okay, with the classic Instagram, TikTok, whatever, there's that side of our lives that many people are sharing online. Now with ChatGPT or any of these other tools, so many people communicating like so deeply and sharing so much information with these things. Do you have any, not just for yourself, but for like people in general, how do you think about combating what to share, what not to share, how deep to go with these things? Because like we've discussed, right? It's like if AI has all of this information, it can be extremely helpful in solving these cases, but it can also be like weaponized against us as well in some way or another, not just with AI, but with TikTok videos, Instagram videos. Like, is that something you're consciously thinking about yourself or in your talks now? Like, what do I share? What do I not share? How do I share it?
I think it's more, that is where the awareness comes in. I don't think about it in general with AI, of course. I believe, of course, the criminals are thinking in the same ways as we are, that we need to, get the data we need to understand humans, and we need to have this playbook and we need to update it based on. For me, it's more of course, the amount of information that is on you out there. They can create that perfect person for you, or knowing where you're at in your business journey so they can come in at the right point. Or on Facebook, like where a lot of more of the elder generation maybe are putting a lot just online that I think maybe maybe I want to ask, but I feel like it's a bit of a generational switch there, where they're putting a lot out. And what these fraudsters are doing is that they're creating, characters online, which I think is really telling. Imagine your old aunt is on Facebook. One person contacts her and just befriends her. She's a bit lonely, so she just talks to this person. That person extracts a lot of information about her likes and dislikes, and she just shares and stuff. And then she get a friend request from another person that they're friends with. And that person then have gotten to know all of this information so that they can pretend to be that perfect person. So she says, I love Harry Potter to that person. He or they can start say, I love Harry Potter. And she's just like, oh my God, like everything is just, you are my perfect. These are where I am more concerned that people are not realizing that the extent that they will go, and that information that you give to a total stranger can be then weaponized against you. So for me, that is more the abusive nature of, but of course, to be very frank with you, I haven't thought about like how the information that we're adding to ChatGPT, for example, what might happen in the future if that's all of that information, even
probably not good.
I've talked to ChatGPT a lot, so
the shit that ChatGPT knows about me.
Yeah, but like a lot of people are using it as a therapist, and that's why I believe that like an AI chatbot in the future we will be much more accustomed and normalized using it. But that is, as you said, is a two-edged sword.
Right.
What do we do if it gets into the hands of the wrong people?
Yeah, if ChatGPT starts to become like a bit of a gossip or something.
Gossip,
what does it mean to you to be like, to have this, you've used the term awareness, to have this awareness about a scam? Like how does that work in practicality on a day-to-day basis? Obviously, like you go to buy coffee, it's not high risk of getting scammed. But let's say you're doing a business transaction or something like that.
I think if you've been scammed, like you are the perfect person to see if a scam is coming your way. Then it's almost like burnt child, if you're like you've been through it, you can see it. In my normal day-to-day life, of course, I'm just so much more aware when I'm online and I go into this. If this is a deep fake, or I can see a lot of these, that is what makes me really angry. Like in my day-to-day life, online all the time, and I see so many either, fake websites who are still up, fake adverts, a lot of just where you can clearly see like fake profiles. And that is on my day-to-day. I get really angry when I then try to take them down and they're not being taken down. So that is how I am much more in the fraud space all the time. So even though I'm just scrolling just for fun, I'm like, damn it though, like, or because what is very popular now online is that if you've been a victim, if you lost money, a lot of people then will then try to re-victimize you by saying, well, I can try to help you get your funds back. Because people are then desperate, so they then pay money to these companies that are saying, I can help you, and they lose that too. So it's really sad to see a lot of them. It's very heavily on TikTok. And for example, I started doing a bit of like information sharing on TikTok. And of course, there was just a profile that just took all of my content and just created their own profile on me and said that I can help you get your money back. It's a wild, wild west out there. So for me in my daily life, I do my necessary verifying and checks, and I'm really very happy to see that some financial institutions over in the UK are having more and more of these, you know, on their apps. You can do like safe spaces. For example, if I'm going to do transactions, I need to be at home. So they have a lot of these. Monzo, for example, have come. If you do a transaction, you've approved it, but you can still take it back if you feel you've sent it, and then you feel something's a bit off, you can still stop it. So there's several like of as I say, intentional friction or good friction that they're starting putting in that makes it a bit more difficult. It shouldn't be as frictionless. Like when I was working before in my old job, frictionless, as few clicks as possible. That's the best for everyone. And now we see the repercussions of that with when it comes to how easy we made it. And I'm trying to take a bit step back and look at like fraud prevention as a new customer service. That is like the one thing that I'm really going into, that we need to look at that. If I'm getting stopped with a transaction, think about it. Oh, they're taking care of me, instead of being upset. Oh, why are you asking me these questions? Because it's about protecting everyone in society.
What's a practical tip or like a set of steps that you would recommend to a founder to take if they're wanting to verify or protect themselves from going into a potential business partnership?
I think it's difficult, because we are been talking, or deepfakes are coming, but I'm thinking like going on a video call as quick as possible. I think you have to check third-party verifications here. Things can look great. Even a website can look great, but there are different types of tools you can go in to see when was it registered. What is it built with? Like, is this information correct that's here? Everyone can have a pretty quote or have some numbers up on the website, but are those numbers real? I think you need to ask for, proper bank statements. You need to verify. And that's what I mean. If you then ask for it, but you are potentially talking to a criminal or a fraudster, they won't be able to give you that. They will be fluff still.
Yeah.
And I think as well, asking if they can connect you with someone that they've collaborated with before, or that they can talk about how they collaborated with someone and how that ended. Because a real, investor or someone that goes into a business with someone, they will be able to talk about, well, that collaboration didn't work well because X, Y, and Z. Why a fraudster will always say, this is amazing, this is great. Potentially, that's what I'm saying. There might be something, but a lot of them will kind of say that everything's great, everything's amazing, you should be doing this, this is like low risk, high reward, And I think that those are the different ways. I feel like you should always, like, as I say, trust but verify. You should always do that.
Yeah.
You should always go into this with like, okay, it might be true, but I need to verify more than your words, because they will manipulate you and they will make you feel like this is something you should be doing, but you need to check.
I even think like, because a really masterful manipulator would have some sort of third-party proof ready to go, because they know that you're going to ask a question. But like, say if I wanted to work with a company and they have all these testimonials on the website, I'm like, cool, I've seen them already, but I want a testimonial from this company that you worked with that you don't actually publish on your website. Can I please get a reference for them? Yeah. And then I'll call with them.
No, I mean like these documents that you get, you need to verify those documents too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. What I meant is that it's like you need to verify third-party wise, not just something that they sent to you. You need to go somewhere else to get that verification.
Yeah.
Even if it's from the government that they're registered in, the bank statements, like or like tax return. I'm just like saying it needs to come from someone else.
Some official source.
Yeah. But of course, if it's proper immersive theater and I say like, can I talk to someone you collaborate with before? It can be someone that I'm going to send you to this individual that is my co-conspirator. And then I get it. But I think the more friction you put into this, instead of just going along with what they're saying, the more friction you put in, the more questions you're asking, and the more you can see how they act by, getting those questions that they normally are not getting.
Yeah.
And that is what I say, like, you should ask for, collaboration or partnerships that didn't end in success, because everyone will have that. So if the person you're talking to say, no, I don't have that.
Yeah. I have
that is
100%.
very weird.
Yeah.
But that is weird. And for someone who's serious, will be able to give you that and say, yeah, this partnership just didn't, we've had some conversations,
right.
it didn't pan out.
I feel like the onus should be on the other person to prove their, I guess, trustworthiness to you, because I feel like at this point, the natural thing for the manipulator to do would be to start putting pressure on, like, oh, we don't have time for verification. Come on, we got to get the deal done, which, that puts it on you.
They will put urgency in. And I think like by verifying, by like putting a bit of a break on, how will they react to that? If they react badly to it or get even more tense with you, or like, you need to do this, if not, X, Y, and Z will happen, then I would be like, that is what I'm feeling will come back.
Yeah.
The more questions you're asking and more of the, yeah.
No, 100%. Yeah, because even like with the scam that I fell for, the more questions I was asking, the more frustrated the guy became. And I was young and dumb and I didn't kind of like read that properly. But today I would have been like, You're publishing a book in August.
Yes.
What's it about? And then how do you hope that book is going to add to this narrative?
Yeah, it's called Swindled, Never After. So it's kind of like you've done it once, so hopefully never again. So it's how you can spot and how we survive relationship fraud. So it's been with me and Pernilla Sjöholm from the Tinder Swindler, the Swedish woman. And it's been in the works for several years. So it's about our own personal stories, both during it. So a lot of untold stuff that happened that, you don't have time for in a documentary. We go into the tactics that Simon was using. We have experts coming in, discussing the issues out there, the big issue of fraud on a more global stage. And then we have, of course, the fight after, what happened afterwards. Everyone is asking me, are you still in debt? What happened to the money? And it would be so nice just to have the book and say, go and read the book.
Read this. Yeah.
I hate when I get that though, but that, like, with police, how it was to go public in the media, how it was filming the Tinder Swindler, like a lot of the stuff, and like a bit of a self-help book. But I hope a lot of people in the fraud space, who work with fraud victims and romance fraud victims can read it and hopefully have a better understanding of the human cost of this.
Yeah, so exciting. Is it going to be available on Audible?
Yes.
Yes, nice.
Audible, yeah.
On the topic of books too, right? So we have a few key questions that we like to use to wrap up the conversation. And as we are asking you these questions as well, we like to get you to take one of these cups from the wall behind us.
Okay.
You can see the previous guests that we've had on the show have each taken a cup, left a message on there. So we're going to ask you to take one of these and then write your own message that you want to share on the cup. And as you're doing it, we're going to ask you some questions. There's like so many things you have to deal with right now.
Multitasking.
Yeah. Good luck. Let's.
Yeah, and
I'm
you
just
have
like a dude.
5 seconds.
I don't think I can double task, but I can do my best.
But on books, so I wanted to ask you, like, do you read business books or not really? What kind of books do you like to read?
I'm not the biggest book
You're not the
reader.
biggest
I
book
buy books and then I read half of them.
Me
So
too.
that is like, I
Same.
always buy
I'm
a
the
book
same.
and I love it. So I read like Grit.
Okay.
Because I'm really interested, and then one of my other favorite books, I don't remember, but it's called Gut Feeling.
Okay.
Because for me, I love reading about it because it's sports and everything, how important that is for the people who. So I love reading. What I've been trying to read is, and I have one on cyber psychology as well, written by a doctor. It's another amazing book where we go more into the relationship we have with our phones and digital tools. Because it's been so little research into those aspects.
Yeah. Nice. Okay.
Did you finish Grit? Just curious. Did you finish it? No.
You didn't have enough grit to finish Grit. It didn't work.
I didn't. I was just like, yeah, I've got grit. And I was like, no, I don't have grit.
I have enough grit.
Yeah, the book did not work. It did not have the desired impact.
Sometimes I've just been so, because I've lost, before I read a lot of, romance and like those type of literature. And then I was like, I'm so busy. So I decided like, okay, I need to read books to learn something.
Yeah.
So I lost a bit of the joy of reading because you feel like every time you take up a book, I should learn something.
I feel like that at the beginning of starting a business. I feel like all I did was read books about everything.
Same.
And then a few years in, I'm like, I don't want to read any
I've got enough information. So this next question is a highly psychological question, gives us a lot of insight into you as a person. Yeah. What's your go-to order at a cafe?
I'm so basic. It's an oat cappuccino.
Well, I mean, that's got a bit of flair to it.
Is it?
Oats. Yeah.
No.
Some milk in there.
No, I'm the most basic. It's Americano the whole way.
Straight coffee.
Yeah.
What is a website you think every founder should know about?
I think not exactly like a web, like I don't know the website in itself, but I think if you're a founder, you should always get opinions from real users and you should do user research. I think a lot of the times we think more about building it. And now that I come into this startup, I see that, getting that proper research in, getting to test the concepts before you're building it. That sometimes it's that push and pull.
That is spoken truly by someone who comes from a user experience background.
100%.
I feel that a bit now. Like nothing is wrong. You need to build it to test. But I feel like there is a way to test very quickly and easily to just know that you're on the right path. So I would say for a website, you should actually read up on UX and service design and how to cater and human-centered design thinking in general. I think people
so much
should go
jargon.
in.
It's just like
but I don't know the website. But Google it.
Find it.
Google it.
So what's on the cup? Show I think this camera here.
It's kind of negative, but I always have. There is the fraud for everyone. Have empathy. That is my message to people. That comes later on.
No, but it's a heartfelt message from love. Been through a seriously difficult time, and I think it's a very strong message. Aside from Dylan, who would be a dream advisor for you?
Yeah, I had a little partnership with MasterCard, and their deputy CSO is Alicia Abdullah, and she's just like, when I think about MasterCard, I was always thinking about them as a bit, they're so big. So I was thinking all the ones at the top will be very corporate, but like meeting her and her energy and how she was thinking about things and how they as a big company, because I always want the bigger players to take a role to see like how she was thinking about fraud in general. I think that she would be like an amazing advisor. That's who I would. Nice. But I still haven't dared to send her a message on LinkedIn. Well, that's the thing.
There you go. Send this clip.
I know, but that is like, when you're kind of, oh my God, you're so cool. I love when people have infectious energy when you meet them, and she has that. So she's like a cool corporate woman.
Oh, I want to meet her.
Yeah, I want to be that.
I'm going to add her on LinkedIn.
Yeah, she's cool.
Yeah. This is where we'll wrap it up. But honestly, this has been really, really interesting for me because I saw the Tinder Swindler. I loved it. And when it came up, the opportunity to have a conversation with you about this, I was like, let's do it. And I feel like you've had just a hell of an experience and it sort of just keeps on going. But I really hope that Simon gets what he deserves and that you get what you deserve, which is a lot, because none of what you have received was relevant. It wasn't for you, but you've turned it into something beautiful. So well done.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much. It was a really great conversation.